All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Real Estate Investing Club. It is still December 8th. I know I said that on the last episode, but we do multiple episodes in a day here. So we're still on December 8th, but that means we are close to Christmas, my favorite time of the year. And it's a good day because we have RJ Pepino with us on the podcast, and he is with sellhousecolumbus.com. They have done over 1,000 flips. They have 500 properties under management. They've done a ton of other things, a lot of accolades that go towards their company. So I'm sure RJ has a ton to share with us today. RJ, thank you very much for hopping on the show.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on. Love doing these, chats and discussions about, the real estate market, what's going on. And it was interesting. We had a little discussion before this, and you were talking about what you're up to and what you have in your portfolio. It's something that we're like in the new phase of adding assets and buy and hold assets into our portfolio right now. So I'm excited to be here and talk about that or anything else you want to chat about. So nice to meet you, Gabe.
Sweet. Yeah. Let's just dive right into it then. I told you before we got on here, we like starting with stories. So take us to the beginning of your story. How'd you get started in real estate?
Yeah, I got started in real estate because I was hitting the ceiling way back in my corporate days. It was retail. I was in telecommunications retail. So
Verizon, T-Mobile, this kind
oh
of guys.
yeah, these guys, and I was part of the launch of the iPhone when it came out.
Damn, that's impressive.
That's a long, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
My background is I was a tennis player, played all throughout my juniors and high school, and was good enough to go to college with a scholarship. And so I've been playing tennis. I still play tennis. So that led me to and I'm Ohio, based in Columbus, and that scholarship was in a small college up north, Youngstown State, and lived there. Definitely different from Columbus, just different demographics and economics there. But I was super grateful for that because it was like my first kind of step to like being on my own and trying to like figure things out. And so I did my tennis stint there, got a degree there. Don't regret it. Don't need it though. But what I learned is you don't really need it for what we're doing.
Yeah.
But it was a good experience to be on my own and to learn a valuable skill, which is selling, which is sales.
Yeah.
And so that was a big thing that I learned in my 7 years that I lived kind of on my own, and I was up there. And so, yeah, I was selling cell phones. I started with Singular, and
they're not even around anymore.
Remember those minutes that rolled over? And I did that stint, loved it. I was making, a ton of money at that point in time. That was a ton of money for me. And I learned how to sell. And a lot of my experience from the sales led to management. And I was trying to climb up that ladder, which is the corporate ladder. You get the golden handcuffs put on you. You get lured in with their salary and their commission, and that was the thing. And then I had a different mindset back then, different RJ back then, and I was like, if I can climb enough, then eventually I'm going to be like a CEO. I'm like, well, how is that even possible? I'm doing some research, and I'm like, is that how I get to $1 million? Like, I wanted to make a lot of money, right? And I'm like, how can I do this? And so I was researching it, and I'm like, what I found out was it's going to take forever. And I need to have resources or people that I know. And who's going to, it's like, there's like this club that you got to be a part of.
Yeah.
So I'm like, there's got to be a different path for me. And so, in the process of getting better, you read these books, and you kind of do your own research. Back then, when the internet was the internet, you just kind of went into these forums and you kind of see what's people doing. But it led me to a book, which was Rich Dad Poor Dad. Rich Dad Poor Dad was the mindset shift game changer for me. That kind of showed me like this is really how you can accumulate wealth, right? It's owning businesses and doing it through They talk about the four quadrants. You want to be on this side of the quadrant.
Yeah.
And part of being on that side of the quadrant is real estate. And so it got me really thinking about cash flow and real estate and got me starting down that path. And so I read the book, got super excited. I was talking to my brother. I'm like, I think we can flip houses. I was super excited. I'm like, I don't know how we're going to figure it out because I both don't have construction experience. And I don't even know how to find a deal. I don't even know what a deal is. But
But we're gonna do it.
yeah, but we're going to do it. I got good credit. I've got some savings from the sales job. And so I did what I always did was I just moved fast, implemented imperfectly, and broke a couple things along the way. And we bought a house. It was back in 2007. So what happened in
Ooh,
'07 and '08.
perfect
Bought a
timing.
house.
Yeah.
I bought a house and I was like super gung ho, and I wasn't even paying attention to what was going on in the market. But that was my first taste of real estate. I bought an FHA loan. I wish I would have known about the house hacking strategy back then, but it's okay. So I bought a house. I bought it wrong, and I failed miserably in that
Got
flip.
kicked in the face. Yep.
Big time, big time. And that was my first taste of like pressure, this like pressure that I've never experienced before because everything was kind of coasting. I mean, I had pressure with the sales job and hitting, numbers and stuff like that, but this was a different kind of pressure. It was like I was in the at that point in time, I was like, going to have to give my house back because I was
Mm,
having trouble making the payments. The market was
yeah.
shifting. I wasn't showing up at the job that I didn't like anymore. And
I've been there, man. That's a
and
rough
so I'm
place to
like, I'm
be.
kind of disconnected. I know this real estate thing is the way to get there.
Yeah.
And I stumbled upon, I do a lot, like how I learn is I research, learn, implement. And I
Hmm.
was researching online and I stumbled upon an online mentor who was, flipping houses with no credit and no construction experience and da 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 da, like all this stuff. And I'm like, how's he even doing that? Because I mean, I heard a little bit about it at that, 3-day boot camp with the Rich Dad Poor Dad thing, but I'm like, how is that really happening with this guy? And he was just like some average guy. So I, got on a sales page back then, and then the sales pages were like really long, and I'm like
Yeah.
reading every single thing, and it was like speaking to me, to me, and I was like, all right, I'm signing up. I'm signing up. I think this is gonna work. I need to flip houses this way, and that way it was wholesaling,
Mm,
and so that um, that online course, what it did was it exposed me to how to market to off-market sellers that are super motivated, how to talk to them and negotiate to them, with them. And I had some sales ability and skills, so it gave me the framework to be able to execute basically a wholesale deal. And this was back in '08 and '09. So you know what happened in '08 and '09. Market tanked, right? And so a lot of motivated sellers were calling me and they were wanting to sell their houses because of what was going on. But I didn't have that like really that innate knowledge of comping back then because of
mm,
what was going
mm.
on in the market. It was just changing so fast. And so I went through that mentorship, got my it was bandit signs. That's how I got the phone
Wow,
ringing.
really?
Bandit
It's
signs.
funny. That's the one strategy. Like when I first got started, I started wholesaling too. And that was the
Yeah.
one strategy that I got nothing off of. Like I got
Really?
nothing. Yeah, I tried it all, and bandit signs didn't work for me at all. That's
Dude,
funny.
Thursday, it'd be me. My brother would help me out, but I'd literally be there listening to. I had a truck back then. I'd had like 100 signs in the back, yellow 18 by 24
Yep.
signs with the long, zip ties you can get at Home Depot. RJ buys houses cash, and I have a vanity number. Vanity number is just like, your number spells out like cash. So my cell phone has I still have that phone today. It was my cell phone number, so it'd be like 555 cash, right? So it was, and I was plastering them, listening to audio tapes that I somehow got through the RIAs that I was going through, and then just further like just brainwashing myself, like this is gonna work because it was ridiculous. I have never thought that these yellow signs were actually going to work.
Yeah.
And so I was out there from Thursday putting up signs, getting honked at. I'm like, people were like, hey, you can't, yell at me. What are you doing? You're littering. Like get those signs off. You're not supposed to be putting up on those poles. And I'm like, I don't care. I'm doing them. And I'll just be like,
I need
yeah,
money.
I'm just a marketing guy. I'm just a marketing guy. These aren't even my signs. I'm just working. And that was my little spiel. But they worked. They got me deals. They got me things in contract, but I was just getting them in the wrong prices. And so
Mm,
like my first 8 contracts just all fell apart.
yeah.
I was talking to buyers, they were like, dude, those prices aren't working. They might have worked like 2 years ago,
Mm,
but do you know what's going on in the market? Do you know that all these, there's no one's lending on these? Like, how are you going to make these numbers work? And I'm like, all right, I gotta get, a little bit more of the local knowledge. And so YouTube back then, there's only like maybe like a handful of guys on YouTube showing you how to wholesale properties. It was like the new thing. And so I found some local guy, and he's still a buddy of mine. He's a little under the radar anymore, but I reached out to him and I'm like, dude, I have a lot of properties right now. Would you be willing to do like a deal split, blah blah blah? And he's like, well, I have a mentorship program where I do deal splits. And so I'm like, all right, well, what's it going to take? And I'm like, well, it was pricey back then. I'm like, looking at my account, it's kind of like dwindling away. I'm like, I'll do whatever it takes, man. Do whatever it takes. So I had to like finance it, right? And again, pressure I've never really had before, but that like pressure forced me to be super resourceful, man. Super resourceful. And so I've got a pile of bills here, and I'm like, I still got some decent credit. So let's just finance this thing because I knew that I could like, if I worked my ass off, it's gonna work. It's gonna work. I bet on myself, basically.
Yeah.
And so within like 60 days, I was still putting up the bandit signs, still fielding calls. We found a duplex that we bought for basically got it in contract for like 16 grand. Okay.
Yep.
16 grand. I mean, again, this is like
This is
2008,
Columbus, I guess.
right?
Yeah. Back in
Yeah,
2000, 2008.
when that was like a thing. Now those duplexes are going for like 150 to 200 cash.
Yeah.
That's the
It's
market now.
crazy.
But we got it in contract for 16 and we found an out-of-state cash buyer for like 36. And
All
we
right.
did like I remember sitting in the house that I was the flip that was a disaster, sitting in there. This house was like 75% done, right? Sitting in my room, getting the phone call from my mentor, and we're like, guess what? We found the buyer. And I'm like, I just had this biggest yell throughout the house. I was living with my brother and his girlfriend at that time, and they weren't there, but they would have probably thought that I was like getting shot or something, or what was going on with me because I let out the biggest yell of like, fuck yeah, I'm like, yeah, and it was like that right there. I still think about it, it gives me chills because that was the proof that all I needed right there, proof that this could be done.
Yep.
I made money basically out of thin air. That's
Yep.
what happened. And I'm like, this is it. I'm going all in on this real estate thing. This thing works. And then like 2 years after that, me and this guy flipped over 100 houses together. And we that led to, so there was a time there where I was wholesaling a bunch and had a different business partner back then. And the market was starting to slowly get better. And the banks were like being less stingy and lending again. And there was a moment there where you could pick up still houses and anywhere from 20 to 50K, and they would be cash flowing, renting out for 750 to 850. And my buyers were like, yeah, give me as much as you can of those
Keep them
because
coming.
I'm keeping them.
Yeah.
I'm keeping them. I'm like, what do you mean you're keeping them? And it just didn't, like, my mindset was just flip, 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 right? Next deal, next deal, next deal. I'm like, wow, there's some more power to this, buy and hold play. And it was in 2010 when it really hit me. I'm like, I gotta keep these.
Yeah.
Gotta find a way. What's that next level, man?
Yeah.
You know what that next level was, Gabe? It was You gotta raise private money. You gotta get the money,
Yeah.
And I was just like, well, how am I gonna do that? People don't even know me. They just know me as this like wholesaler guy, right? And and I was having a lot of fun too, like because I was in my, you know, late 20s, 30s, just flipping a house, blowing it away, flipping a house, blowing it away, just being, you know, just young. And so this like forced me to step up and change my mindset a little bit and like think several years down the road of like building this wealth, cash flow coming in, what it can get you. But that missing piece for me was changing my mindset on how to really look at deals from more of a longer term standpoint and also raising money. And I started on this like I was asking my buyers like, hey, do you know any private lenders? People that are willing to lend short term. And I had a big break back in 2011 when one of my buyers was like, yeah, I'll do some deals with you. So we started off doing like a lot of 50-50 deals. He would come in with the money. He had some resources with contracting, and then we would flip the deals. And then that was like a test for him because he just wanted to see how I could do it. So we did like two flip deals, and I said, hey, can we hang on to some of these? Right? Can we do the cash out refinance play? He was like, well, banks, he was giving me this, well, banks, da, 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 da. I'm like, all right, it's cool. We can still flip. It's okay. But what that did by borrowing money from this guy was that it gave me some credibility of like, have I ever borrowed money before and paid it back?
Yeah.
And that was a huge game changer for me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the next couple phone calls with other private lenders was super easy. Like, yes, I borrowed, 200 to 500 $1,000 with this private lender. You can have his number to call him and see how I work, but got references now. And that was the big thing. Like, you have to be okay with just making things happen with whoever lender you have, because that's like building your credibility pack. You have a credibility packet. You can go to another lender. That was a big game changer for me. And we started buying and holding since 2012 um, with my, a business partner now. And, we've got a lot of rentals.
Yeah. Yeah. Over 500. You've really, you've taken that model and you said, all right, we're going to knock this one out the park. Let's just do it.
Yep, we had a breakout 2021 where we had a huge portfolio that we bought. We'd always been in
Mm,
that 100 to 150 range.
mm.
So it really catapulted us. It's keeping us really on our toes um, from a management standpoint. But I don't regret any of that. But that's kind of my story in a nutshell of going from corporate world to flipping a lot and then changing mindset going into the more buy and hold play, which we still have a flipping business. We call it the lab, where we're still flipping over there. And if something comes up that we want to keep, we'll put it right in our portfolio because we're going after some bigger deals. Like I was telling you, the storage play and some things with warehouse and industrial. So
Very cool, man. Yeah, I love your story because it mirrors mine a lot. And I feel like a lot of investors kind of can resonate with your story. You work in corporate, you hear
yeah.
about real estate. I read the same book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. And then you just get started in wholesaling. You cut your teeth on wholesaling for a while, get into some flips, do that for a while, and then eventually you're like, okay, there's another level to this. I got to figure it out because some people are just crushing it with cash flow, with buying, portfolios like you did or commercial like I did. And then you start raising capital and then you're into the next level. And I don't even know what the next level is after this. I haven't even looked into it. Probably doing funds and like big funds, but yeah, it's I love your story. I like the evolution of it. It sounds like I'm sure you got tons of stories within within that career of 10 years. Unfortunately, I looked at the clock. We are running it down, so am going to have to move us on to the quick question round. But before we do
Yeah.
that, I want to ask a bit about what you guys are doing today. So
Mhm.
you've got us to the current point. What is your bread and butter today? What are you doing, and what does the next couple of years look like for you?
Yeah, so we have a lot, like I was telling you, we have a lot of single families, duplexes, and small multifamily in our current portfolio.
Mm,
That is that's keeping us super busy, and that's fine. Like it's stabilized. We'll probably add, you know, right now on average, maybe like two houses every like quarter in there,
Okay.
right? The main kind of day to day and the flipping business right now is we're doing a lot of, you know, wholesaling and novations.
Mm.
And so, that's I like that business because it's just a straight up cash business. It keeps us in the loop of what's going on from a residential standpoint. And every now and then, there's small landlords that we'll get a hold of in our marketing. We will be able to like acquire them, keep them, whether we keep them for a short term and then sell them off. But we're that's like the flipping business. We're doing wholesaling and then novations, or we're calling them our PEP deals. That's like the newest thing right now. I think it's also the most I think in how I see the deal going about is like the most ethical way of doing those type of flips. It's because you're really meeting the seller's needs, and
Can you my partner that I have on the commercial side does novations, and he tried to explain it to me one time, but it didn't sink in. Go over novations one more time. What is it? How does it differ from wholesaling?
yeah, so basically you're the whole thing that with novations is that you're replacing the current purchase agreement, right, with another agreement with a buyer. So you're just it's like it's a different type of transaction than wholesaling because you're just kind of like assigning over this contract. Novations in a sell in its like context is a little bit it's the same, but it allows you to actually list this property on an MLS.
Mm.
And where are the buyers that are paying the most? Well, they're on the MLS. Your cash buyers that you've built these relationships with have these formulas that are, typically they're going to need deep discounts for you. So when you're talking to your motivated seller and they're like, well, you give them your cash price based on what's going on right now. And, we're still flipping some homes as well. You got to be a little bit conservative with your, ARV anymore. You want to be under that so that you know that it's going to sell because it's not like 2021 and 2020. All those
Mm.
the 3 years of this hot rising market, blah blah blah. It's not the same markets. You got to be underwriting it very conservatively. So this novations that we're doing is literally just we're saying being upfront with the seller. The cash price doesn't work for you, and we're going low on the cash price, right? But there's probably a way that we can still work together, and I can probably give you a little bit more money and get close to your asking price. I just need some flexibility with y'all. Like I need to list it on the MLS. I got to work with these buyers that are typically using a loan. We're going to handle all of that for you, right? That's how we kind of like pitch it. We're going to handle the sale for you and inspections. We might have to do some renovations to it. That's coming out of our pocket. So
Mm.
you might see on the MLS listed at a higher price, but out of that higher price, that's paying us and covering our costs that we're coming to the table to bring it to, inspection standards, right? And so in entirety, you're basically getting permission from that motivated seller to put it on the market. And then when that new buyer comes and steps and says, hey, I'm interested in getting this deal, you're replacing that contract with that buyer to the seller. And they're going to see what you're making.
Mm.
And you got to be upfront with them. Be like, look, I know it looks like we made this much, but we also had to cover the request to remedy. There's always a request to remedy in this thing unless you like negotiate with that buyer.
Mm.
But the buyers in this market, as you probably know, is that they're a little bit different. They're wanting concessions. They're not waiving inspections. They're a little bit picky,
Mm.
and rightfully so, where the interest rates are at. Back when it was a different market, people were just like, I'm going to waive inspections. I'll do an escalation clause. I want the deal. I want the house. Now, will it happen again? We don't know. There's a thing that I don't really follow the news, but sometimes the people that I follow on social media are talking about the Fed said that they're gonna cut interest rates next year. Who knows if that's gonna happen?
Yeah. I don't
Um,
look at my crystal ball anymore. I'm just like,
yeah, I
whatever
know,
happens, happens.
So I don't know if that's gonna happen, but if it does, then you'll have a lot of buyers who have waited to make a move. Well, we'll see what happens. You never know.
Yeah.
It could just be a play because of the elections. But that's what in a nutshell novations is you're getting the permission, you're getting an attorney in fact signed. Some people call it a limited power of attorney as well, and you're handling that wholesale price for them, a wholesale process for them
Mm.
on the
Okay.
MLS.
Yeah,
But
makes
it
sense.
actually it happens all the time in commercial. That's what
Yeah.
I heard.
I've
It's
I've never done that on the commercial side, but the mechanics sound pretty simple. I'm assuming it's just a clause that you put within your purchase agreement that just says, buyer has the right and ability to assign, or not assign, I guess, to list this property on the MLS.
you have to novate to do a no to do a novation is what we
Oh,
have.
it's
No,
it's a legal term. Novation is a legal term.
but we put it in there. We have a straight up clause. We can assign it. We can novate it. Um, it's right there in our clause, and then we get that. Really, the permission slip is the attorney in fact.
Huh, interesting.
The attorney in fact allows you to do. At that point, you're basically saying, "Hey, I promise you to give you this price. Let's just say it's 80,000. And how we word it in our pitch is like, we're going to protect your equity. So we're going to protect this 80,000. Meanwhile, we're going to work with our end buyers, which our end buyers are using conventional USDA, VA, whatever loan that they're going to have. And then we're going to put the property on the MLS. And so, we're very upfront. And then if they ask, well, what do you think it will sell for? Well, we're going to test some pricing around. So we might put it out there for like 120. Like,
Mm,
oh, really? I'm like, yeah, we don't know because we're seeing that the market's bearing 130, but the house needs a little bit of work based on what you're telling me. And then when they have their inspector over there, we might need to do some, repair some floors, maybe some plumbing. We don't know. But the good news is you don't have to worry about that.
yeah.
We have good pricing on because of the volume pricing that we get. And so we're going to take care of it. And sometimes we'll have to do some things after the closing for them.
Hmm.
So that's how we pitch it.
Yeah. What would why would a seller do that versus just go with a real estate agent if it's going to be listed on the
Well,
market?
and we get that objection a lot. And we tell them that you can certainly list it with your friends, your realtor friends that you want to do it. And if you're okay with paying commission, and
Mm,
if you're okay with doing the rehab, and if you're okay with handling all of the, offers, if that's something that you want to do, more power to you. Let's do it. Part way, like let us know. We're still here to help you. A lot of times they're like, well, no, 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 I don't want to do that because I don't have time. I don't have the resources, and I don't have the money.
yeah. Yeah, no, it makes sense. I've heard that idea thrown out so many times. I never took the effort to actually get down and understand it, but makes a lot of sense to me. I am going to take that opportunity because it looks like we have gone through our time. So I'm going to take the opportunity to push us into the quick question round. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. It starts with books or any form of education. Just give me two recommendations, one for general life wisdom and one for real estate specific.
So we talked about the book that changed my mindset, but there's another one that's it's Think and Grow Rich. This is a
Mm,
book that I read. I look through like once a year, a couple times sometimes. That's an amazing book, right?
yeah, Napoleon Hill.
Um, it really is. So that one is more like personal development, and then the other one was you were like a real estate book,
Hmm.
a real
I mean, you
estate
could
book.
say Rich Dad Poor Dad. That's a solid. That's a
It
solid.
really is.
Yeah,
A lot of what they put out, whether it's real or not, like the principles in there, this is really solid. Like you can't go wrong with any of those books. The Cash Flow Quadrant, Rich Dad Poor Dad, all those like the tax benefits, the whole Rich Dad series.
yeah,
You can learn a lot,
yeah,
and I'm not like I don't have a thing with like, and I don't know you don't either, but with like Kiyosaki, right? So it's just the
yeah,
principles in there. We don't have like an affiliate with them, but the principles in there is like amazing, amazing. So
yeah.
it was a game changer.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a it's not going to tell you how to do real estate, but it's going to tell you why you should be doing it. And it's a good book. I would recommend to anybody just getting started. So, I'm going to move us on to the next question. This is for your younger self. So let's go back to the 8 RJ who was just getting started. Back in what did you say? It was like 2008, something like that.
Yeah, it was like 8, 9. Yep, is
Yeah.
when I picked that book up.
Yeah. Go back to him, look him in the eye, give him one piece of advice moving forward.
One piece of advice. I love this question, man. What came up for me in that moment was to um, just, you know, cut down cut down on partying
Yeah.
and look at so like, I'm not saying like don't have fun, because you got to have fun, right? That was the time to do it. But you can get further ahead if you just learn this one strategy, and that's called house hacking.
Mm,
Look at that. Look into house hacking.
yeah. Yeah,
That's what I would tell myself.
that's a good piece
Yeah,
of advice. That's
it
something
really
I
is.
wish, yeah. My daughter, I'm gonna have to tell her to go down that route because that is something I wish I would have done. All right,
I'm
next
definitely let my
question.
kid up
Oh, we're having a little bit of connection issues. Are you is your internet?
there.
Oh,
Good. Yeah.
all right. Problem has been fixed for you guys. It was no time for us. There was internet issues, but we're back. We're running. We're going to the next question, and this is about the U.S. This is a question I ask everybody, but you are a one metro guy, which I love to hear. I'm going to ask you anyways. The U.S. is a big
Yeah.
place. It's a lot of opportunity out there. Give me the single metro you're most excited about investing in today.
My home city. I'm
Columbus, Ohio,
Columbus through and
baby.
through. Columbus, Ohio. If you guys are watching my market, you'll know that Intel just recently, committed to getting like over 20,000 jobs. What I also heard was outside of that, there's another aviation company. I pay attention to that, the economics and job factors. Just pick a market that has
Hmm.
a diverse economy. So that if one economy starts to slip up, well, you still have healthcare over here. If healthcare starts to slip up, well, then you got your like fashion and you know here, you got Facebook here, Google's here. These are like the guys that have done all the hard work.
Yep.
They're looking and picking and choosing which markets to go to. And then you have like there's an aviation company that is working on, this is amazing, but flying cars. This is going to be a real thing.
Sick.
Flying cars. They
The
opened up in
Jetsons.
Dayton. The Jetsons. It's so crazy. I'm like, wait a second. I'm like, this is coming out. It's like, yeah, it's true. That's another 4,000 jobs over there. So just choose your markets like that. And Midwest is a great market because, and it's like, if you look at it in the map, it's really more like Northeast and not in the middle of, the States. I don't know why they call it Midwest, but like, you got to pick the markets that just have affordable housing, diverse economy, and people are moving there for the jobs,
Yep.
you know? So that's why I like my market. I'm telling you, I'm
Yeah.
bullish on Columbus. I'll always be.
Columbus is a great market. Columbus, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, all those big
Yeah.
markets out there right under the lakes. Pretty
Yep.
solid. All right, next question is about finding deals. It all starts with getting in contact with the seller. So, what is your favorite way to generate leads and find good deals?
So at one point, it's changed. So at one point, it used to be direct mail, it used to be cold calling, it used to be texting. Well, right now in our market, in the last 90 days, our number one lead source is PPC, pay per
Okay.
click,
Yeah.
pay per click. And so we're bullish on that, and we're really noticing that website that I gave you, that's doing really well in the search engine optimization, is because we've did a lot of we at the closing table when we helped the thousands of motivated sellers. We took videos, the ones that wanted to do videos that didn't mind it. We took video testimonials, authentic, right then at their happiest time, when they're getting the check, and we put them on YouTube, and then we put that YouTube link into our website.
There you go.
So this is a good way for y'all to get leads, especially really motivated ones. Because imagine somebody going online researching and they're typing in their information, right? They're motivated. They're like, this whole mindset thing. They are so motivated that they're willing to take the time to research who are the companies that are buying in my area. And then boom, your page steps up. You have all this credibility of reviews, right? And it's video form. People love videos.
Yeah,
So that
credibility
is
goes a long way. Video content, that kind of stuff. It really does help with the sale, with people's confidence in your trustworthiness and your ability to actually get the deal done. So, love that strategy. I'm gonna move us on to the next question. This is, I lost my spot. I do this every single time. I don't know why this happens, but there it is. This is about your strengths. All of us are gifted with strengths that we uniquely provide this world. So, what is your Superman strength?
really my superhuman strength is being resourceful.
Mm,
That's really it.
yeah. And
Like,
that's a strength that is pays back in spades when it comes to, I want to say real estate, but really it's just any business. Anytime you're trying to build a business, being resourceful is super important because nothing goes the way that you plan it to. Well, sometimes it does, and that's the times that you really got to be thankful, but usually things just go in their own way, and you got to be resourceful, figure out your own solutions to those problems. So that is a good strength to have.
yeah, you know,
All right, that leads us to the last question. This is for the listeners. You've given us a lot to think about. I'm sure people want to reach out, get in contact with you. How can they get in contact with you, and what can they expect when they reach out?
yeah, easiest way is let's connect on Instagram. I'm there all the time, every day, just checking and answering DMs, and it's at RJ Pepino. And what you're going to see is just me documenting what I'm up to. So at the closing table, at properties, with my family, and if you're interested in, what we teach the buy and hold. Um, play. We teach you how to find properties off market, how to raise private capital, and how to grow a real estate portfolio, just like how we did. So anything that we're doing, like we're still, we still have the businesses over there, the lab, like we're still getting deals every day. And some of those deals we'll put away into our portfolio and we show you how to do that. So that's what you're expecting. I truly appreciate you having me on here, Gabe. Love talking to you and love seeing you. Um, and hopefully we can connect some more soon.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's been a good conversation. So for everybody who wanted to reach out, that is on Instagram. It's at RJ Pepino. Pepino is spelled Pepino. The website is sellhousecolumbus.com. So I'll put those links in the show notes. If you want to reach out, just click the little more in the description. It'll pull down that full description, and in there you can find those links. So yeah, RJ, that wraps it up. Again, thank you very much for hopping on the show. I love having people with as much wisdom as you do pop on here and give their stories, give their perspectives. So thank you, and I hope you guys crush it in 2024.
Awesome, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. For everybody who's here with us today, thank you guys for showing up. You are the reason we do this. So if you guys have any questions whatsoever, reach out to me, Gabe at the realestateInvestingClub.com. And if you guys want to support the show, all we ask is give us a like, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Other than that, I hope you guys have a great week. Keep rocking real estate, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.